Okay, welcome to this short tutorial. I'm going to teach you some skills that are hopefully going to make you a more efficient student. The particular technique I'm going to show you is the use of templates. So I'm going to teach you how to create a template using Google Docs. Hopefully your Google Docs skills will improve, and then I'll briefly show you how you could use that in the context of a particular subject, for example, history. So first thing we need to do whenever we're dealing with any kind of document is create a folder in which to store it. Now, we can create a folder in Google Docs. So here I am in Google Docs. The easiest way is just to click the button in the top left where it says New and just select Folder. Excuse me. Or you can right mouse click if that's quicker and select New Folder. So I'm just going to go New Folder. I'm going to do _1 TEMPLATE, all in uppercase. Now, when I create it, because I put the underscore and the 1 at the beginning, it's placed it right at the top, being an important folder with lots of useful things in it that are going to make my life much easier. I need to place it right at the top. I've also added emphasis by making it all uppercase. Right, so I'm going to now go into that folder by double clicking it, and I'm going to create my Google Doc document. Again, I can do that by using the new button, Google Doc, or by right mouse clicking and selecting Google Docs. So when I've done that, it will now open Google Docs in another tab. First thing I always do when I'm creating a new Google Doc, or any document for that matter, is to give it an appropriate file name. Again, I'm going to add 1. Adding numbers will place it in the folder in Google Drive in the order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it gives you some idea as to the order in which you created your documents. I'm going to call it Notes Template, and I'm also going to add the date, which is the 15th of the 9th, 2019, just to give some indication as to when the file was created. Okay, it's saving. If I go back to my drive and refresh, there it is. And as you can see, the 1, if there were more documents, the 1 being would place it at the top. Right, back into the document. First thing I always do when I'm formatting a new document is I change the margins to be much smaller. Most printers today only need about half a centimetre around the outside in order to grip the paper and push it through the printer. That leaves lots of space here where we can't put any words, and that's a waste. So less words on the page means more printing, which is bad for the environment. So anyway, I'm going to go in and reset the margins. To do that, I'm going to go File, Page Setup. Now I'm going to swipe the top margin and reset it to 1. Now I could swipe and reset, or in this box, with this box selected, I could just hit Tab on the keyboard, which is on the left-hand side of the keyboard. It's like an arrow with a slash next to it. Or it may even have the word Tab written on it. I'm going to hit Tab, type 1, Tab 1, Tab 1. Now I could grab my mouse and click 1, or do it on the touchpad with my finger, or I could just hit the Enter key, which is what I'm going to do. Enter. Done. So the margins are reset. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is add some placeholder text for each of the different sections within my notes document. The first one I'm going to do is title at the top. I'm then going to do introduction, which is obviously the introduction to whatever it is this document is about to show you or record. Section 1, so that's kind of like a heading. Introduction to section 1. Then I might have a sub section 1. Some words and more words. I may even choose to add some bullets. Bullet note. Now I want to put a few bullet notes, so at this point what I'm going to do is grab my mouse, click and drag to the left to select it. Then I'm going to go Edit, Copy, or what I could do is Control C on the keyboard. I'm going to hit Enter. and then I'm going to go edit, paste, but I'm going to do it with the keyboard. So that's Control V, enter, Control V, enter, Control V. Right, I think we're done. Now we can go into the document formatting or style area. So first thing I'm going to do is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Click the title 3 times. I'm going to set this up here. This is the style menu, title. Now, the size of the text is too big for me, so I'm going to change that to 24. Okay, I'm going to turn it bold, and everything else looks fine. So I'm now going to set the title so that every other title in this document, if I choose to create one, is exactly the same. So update title to match. Now this is just going to be normal body text or normal text, so like paragraph text. Now at the moment it has no paragraph spacing underneath it, which means that when you hit the return key, it doesn't add any extra space underneath to show that it's a new paragraph. So I'm going to go in here, I'm going to custom spacing, and I'm going to add 4 after. See, it's added an extra section. So I'm going to go in, update normal text as I did with the title. You see everything shifted? That's because all of this at the moment is normal text. Right, we're going to go in and we're going to create section 1 or a heading. Heading 1. Now for me, the text is again way too big, so I'm going to make the text 16. And I'm going to adjust the space before and after. There's way too much space. Custom spacing. I'm going to make that 12 before. In fact, no, I'm going to make that. Now what I did there was, with that selected, if I hit Shift Tab, it takes me back to the previous box. So I'm going to change that to 10 Tab 4. Actually, let's make it 6. Apply. Cool, I like that. In fact, I'm going to go in and change that to 8 and 4. That's better. So I'm going to go in and update the heading. Again, that's just normal text. So this one is going to be a subheading. So we're going to go for heading 2. Again, the text is a little too big. I'm going to make this 13, italic, and reset the spacing to 6 and 3. That's better. I'm going to go in and reset heading 2. Now I could go on and do the same thing for, oh, something didn't work there. Hang on, I'm just going to go back. I'm sure I set that to 13. 13. That's better. Now I'll go and reset, update that. Let me just check that heading 1. That's perfect. This is just normal text again. Now we're on to bullet points. Now bullet points I can set up here. Now I'm going to bullet points. Now I'm not particularly happy with the bullet points. There's too much space down the left. So, and also I don't really like the round bullets. So I'm going to change the bullets by just clicking on the top bullet. Actually, I'm going to change the color as well at this point. Let's go with this red here on the left. Red berry. That's better. Okay, now I'm going to select all of the bullets. So I'm going to click and drag. Now you'll see on my screen the ruler here. If you can't see that ruler, you go View, Show Ruler. But these bullet positions are controlled by this line and arrow. If I move, can you see how they move? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the line a little closer and then click the arrow and move it over to the left. Okay, right, I think that looks pretty nice. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is add a few extra sections. And to do that, I'm going to click and swipe. I'm going to hit Control C on the keyboard, hit Enter, backspace, backspace, return, and then Control V, Control V. And then all I'm going to do is just change it to section 2, section 3. Okay, now all the changes have been saved in my drive. I'm now going to, actually one last thing I'm going to do actually is swipe the whole thing, Control C, and then Control V, section 2. So I've got basically a title with a subtext underneath to describe what the document's about, a section, potentially a subsection, another subsection, and then section 2. Depending on what it is that you're doing, these can be modified inside the context of the notes that you're taking. Okay, that's it, document done. So how am I going to use those notes or this template document? Right, well, let's imagine that I'm going along to a history lesson. So I'm just going to quickly create a new folder. Let's pretend that I've done this before. History. I'm going to go into my template file. I'm going to click it, left mouse click, right mouse click, make a copy. Now I'm going to right mouse click the copy, move to, and you've guessed it, I'm going to come down to my history folder and click move. So now if I go back to my drive, back into history, here it is. Now let's say my history teacher has told me ahead of the lesson that this lesson we're going to be doing Russian Revolution. So right at the beginning of the lesson or even before the lesson, you could go in and create a template document just like this. Now I'm going to right mouse click, rename, and I'm going to call it 1. Russian Revolution, fall of the Tsars. Now I'm going to double click to open it. So now all I've got to do is update all of the content. Russian Revolution, fall of the Tsars. And then I'm just going to put it the date, 15th of the 9th. And then the teacher will probably give you some kind of intro at the beginning of the class. So blah, blah, blah. So it's really just a rough outline of what this document contains in terms of notes. The Russian Revolution happened in the beginning of the 9th. Blah, blah, blah. These notes, blah, blah, blah. So the first section could be the Tsars. I can't spell. And the teacher, again, might give you some information. I'm just writing some gobbledygook. The first section could be Nicholas, I don't know, the second, is that a Tsar? And again, what you do is you don't spend any time formatting, you just literally add to the document and change it. So if you prefer taking notes as a narrative, you could just write paragraphs of text, or if you prefer bullet points. And if time permits, you can even at this point insert other elements. But the point is that this document gives you the facility to get into the process of taking notes without spending too much time having to keep formatting the document. Trust me, this is something that will take a large amount of time over a day, over a week. It's a waste of time. The real important thing is the content of the document, not the formatting of it, especially if you've got to format it every single time you create a new document. Okay, in subsequent videos, I'll show you how to do some other different templates with different programs, but hopefully you now understand that this is something that is going to be useful to you. Thanks for listening.